So good day everyone. I am Alberami Zainal Abdullah. So now I will be continuing to discuss to you another model under the linear curriculum model. So in standard-based curriculum model, was developed by Alan Glattern, and this approach start by clearly identifying what students must know. And actually this standard curriculum has a three phases. So before we going to discuss those three phases, we will going to discuss first what is standard based curriculum development model. So what is standard? So according to my research, statement of what students should know, kung ano yung dapat matutunan ng bata and be able to do what they were going to perform or demonstrate at the end of the process at each level. So these standards also can be used as a reference point for planning of the teacher in teaching and learning programs and assessing the student progress, kung may progress ba ang bata based on its performance in giving or planning the benchmark of each lessons or in every progress of our students' performance. So now, as we all know that every lesson has its objectives, so you can pause the video and you can read our learning objectives. And now I have this question: what is curriculum and standard-based curriculum? So in curriculum, it is the collection of knowledge a student gains in addition to the activities and experience that help them to get that knowledge. So ito yung support para gain or collection of knowledge para mag-gain in addition to the activities na ginagawa ng students and may experience nila that they were going to help them to get that knowledge, so that curriculum. So any standard is an expectation of what knowledge, kung ano yung knowledge and skills a student should have, kung ano yung mga knowledge and skills na dapat makuha ng mga estudyante based upon their age and grade level. Kasi nakadepende naman ito sa grade level ng estudyante at saka age ng kanilang coping, kasi depende yan sa coping mechanism. Kasi pag yung kuan naman yung standard yung curriculum na binigay mo is pang higher level of or pang higher level ng grade, mahirapan din mga students natin. So dapat nakabase din ito sa cope mechanism nila. And therefore, the standard based curriculum is a curriculum that is based on a state. It is based on the state or pang kalawakan or national standards and includes the knowledge, the experiences, and the assessment. In developing the standard-based curriculum model, we have the three phases or three steps. So our first phases is the development standards. So in this phase, we have three steps. First, we have the gather standard from multiple sources. So in this phase, the curriculum developers gather standard from different sources. This may include the national curriculum policies, the subject matter experts, the research findings, teacher input, international benchmarks. So using these multiple choice resources or sources, the teacher could able to enhance the curriculum, kung paano niya gamitin yung curriculum. So like for example nga sa research natin, 'di ba, mag-gather tayo ng data or mag-gather tayo ng evidences muna bago tayo makakagawa ng magandang research. So yun nga, same lang dito sa pag-develop ng curriculum standard. So we should have to gather some informations from the research findings kung paano natin mapagaganda yung curriculum natin para makunik yung mga misconception ng mga students, paano ma-enhance yung conceptual understanding nila by this curriculum na gagawin natin by the teacher input in the international benchmark. So we have the next steps, which is the refine and combined standard. So after gathering many standards, the developments refine them based on the standard na kanyang gagawin. So the teacher will remove overlaps and combine similar ideas. So these steps is very important because it prevent the curriculum congestion. So it is very important para makorek din yung mga misconception ng mga students and mas-simplify yung mga concepts na mahirap, and yun, mas mapadaling matutunan and ma-demonstrate ng students ito after after the teacher would teach the context. So for instance, instead of having separate standard, like explain that Darwinian's theory, identify adaptations, describe the survival of the fittest, this can be combined into the one clear and essential standard about natural selection. Like students explain how natural selection leads to adaptation in species change over time. So base dito mas mapapadali and yung mga hindi masyado broader yung topic, and yun mas madali ma-cope ng mga estudyante yung context na gusto mo na maintindihan nila. So we have the last steps. We have the classify standard. So in this standard, it was classified into two, which is the essential standard and enrichment standards. So when we say essential standards, which all students must be mastered by all students. So ito yung mga dapat ma-master ng mga estudyante in a context or in a quarter or in a year. So enrichment standards, it's for deeper or extend learning sa mga estudyante. Like for examples nito, we have the essential here sa baba. Explain the natural selection using real life examples. So ang dapat ma-master ng lahat ng estudyante mo dito or lahat ng learners mo dito is about the context of natural selection. So for the students to for enrichment of our students, para mas ma-engage yung mga students natin, they were going to compare a Lamarckian and Darwinian theories. So that you could have the enrichment para mas mapalawak pa yung ideas ng yung mga bata. So like for example, other example nito yung mga case studies natin. Like for example, ang subjects natin is genetics. So for instance, isang teacher natin is nag-ask instead of diba na-master ng estudyante natin kung ano yung genes, kung ano yung mga sakit from chromosome, yung mga sakit na nakukuha natin or inherited na mga traits or inherited na mga sakit. So instead of just focusing there, you should have a case study. Basta pwede mong bigyan ng case study mga estudyante mo and magbunta sila sa field so that there will be extension about the concept that you are been discussing, and mas ma-engage yung mga estudyante mo, lalo na yung mga high school, senior high school, in mga college na students. So now we have understand how standards are developed. Let us move to the second phase, which is the phase 2 development of the benchmark. So in this phase, it could be answer the question at what level and when should students master the standards. Kung ano yung level ng grade ng estudyante, like kung ano yung grade or quarter ng estudyante na ma-master nila ito standard na ito. So we have here, first na gagawin ng teacher is review the decision about the content emphasis. So dapat ma-review ng teacher kung ano yung content na gusto niya emphasize o gusto niya matutunan ng kanyang estudyante. Identify the standard for continuing development, standard that will not be benchmark yung mga concept na hindi isasali doon sa ituturo or doon sa curriculum na ituturo mo, yung mga standard or for the continuing development. Next is decide how benchmark will be identified by task force or by the teacher. So paano yung benchmark or paano yung mga quizzes, yung mga exam, paano i-measure yung mga natutunan ng mga estudyante, by task force ba, by different teachers para ma-measure yung standard or yung natutunan ng mga bata, or by only one teacher. Kung like for example sa summative test, pwede naman isa lang na teacher by advice pero kung may yung mga like for example yung summative yung exam na midterms, pwedeng kung isa, kumbaga sa isang subject kung madami kayong teacher, pwede niyo itong isahan lamang na gagawin. Pwede yung mga like yung bas pang malakihan na exam, yung quarter exam, yan pwede yan siyang pang task force, and yung mga quizzes, yung summative exam is for only one teacher lamang. So next is develop initial draft of benchmarks, evaluate with you should para alam mo or later on i-edit mo na lang or kung paano itong benchmark ma-meet, you should have initial draft sa benchmark na yung gagamit yung mga quizzes or yung mga exams. pero nakadepende man ito sa performance ng mga ating mga estudyante and their misconceptions. Evaluating with criteria provided, of course, when we are going to have our benchmarks, we have the TOS or the criteria being provided kung paano natin ito gagawin. And secure teacher review, dapat ma-review ito ng mga teachers. So, paggawa para natin ng benchmark, sa paggawa natin ng curriculum, dapat na-review ito ng teachers, yung mga higher na rank na mga teachers. Marami pa itong dadaanan na kumbaga isasala pa masyado bago ito magagamit na curriculum, or bago ito magamit ng buong school. So we have also revised benchmark if needed. So if needed, yung benchmark na gagamitin natin is i-revise natin based doon sa, like for example, kung na-review ng teacher tapos may mga mali based on the criteria, so we should is change it para mas ma-meet natin yung goals natin na matutunan ng bata and man-demonstrate ng bata after the context that is being teach to them. So we have here examples from evolution across grade level, which is the standard here is the students understands biology evolution. So the benchmarks looks like this. So it is from grade 6 to 10. So the students from grade 6 will identify inherited traits. So ma-identify pa nila yung mga inherited na mga traits na from their parents to offspring. So second is the grade 7 we explain the variation within the population. So mas naglaki na from parents to the populations. So grade 8 describes environmental selection pressures. Grade 9 will explain the natural selections using the evidences. So in the grade 9, they will going to analyze the fossils and genetic evidences. So as you can see, guys, the learning progress from simple to complex, and it is based on the coping mechanism also of our students and their age. Dapat i-consider natin yung age ng mga estudyante natin, their grade level, and yung think ability nila mag-comprehend or mag-thinks. So, base dito, it ensures the vertical alignment in the curriculum standard that we are making or being doing. And now we have the last phase, which is the developmental final products. So in this phase, the teachers will use the standard yung sa first phase na ginamit na or ginawa ng teacher, and the benchmark na ginawa ng teacher doon sa step 2 to produce a scope and sequence charts kung paano na ba yung sequence na paggawa ng curriculum na gagawin ng teacher. And second is decide on curriculum guide content, yung guide kung ano yung content na ilalagay doon sa curriculum na gagawin ng teacher, and analyze the benchmarks into learning objectives. So it turn into from the benchmark into the learning objectives. I-analyze yung teacher kung align ba yung benchmark into learning objectives na kanyang curriculums. So these phases transform standard and benchmark into curriculum guides, scope and sequence charts, learning objectives, assessment tools, and teaching materials. So this is the examples. We have the example from scope and sequences. So in the first quarter, it is focus sila sa variation and inheritance. In quarter 2, the natural selection. Quarter 3, the evidence of evolution. Quarter 4 is human evolution and misconception of our students. So we have here the objectives. It is from benchmark. Explain the natural selection into learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, students will construct a diagram explaining how environment change affects species and survival. So we have here also have assessments, in which is performance tasks, in which it is case analysis of the students on the peppered moth adaptation. So in this, it ensures that everything thoughts in class is aligned with the standard. It is aligned on the standard na ginawa natin from the development of the standard, from the benchmark na ginawa natin. So by this, na-ensure natin na yung curriculum or yung mga learning objectives or yung mga tinuturo natin sa ating mga estudyante is naka-align doon sa standard or doon sa standard curriculum na ating ginawa or from the higher education. And now, this standard-based curriculum models has also strengths and weaknesses. So let us identify those strengths and weaknesses. So in strength, we have first the clarity and alignment. So in this, the teacher clearly know what to teach, kung ano yung dapat i-teach yung teacher, and assessment are directly connected to standard. Kasi nga yung assessment na gagawin ng teacher is connected doon sa benchmark and the objectives na nandun sa curriculum. So another strength is the accountability. So in accountability, since the standards are clearly defined, it is easier to measure whether students achieve the expected competencies. And lastly, to reduce the curriculum overload. So how it is in a way na like for example, the matatag will remove the unnecessary competencies. Yung may matatag tayo ngayon na curriculum, so gi-remove na yung mga unnecessary competencies or unnecessary na mga bagay na hindi naman dapat tinuturo sa mga, hindi na kailangan tinuturo sa mga estudyante. Like for example, instead of listing of 15 small competencies and consolidate them into 5 essential standard na dapat na matutunan lang ng mga estudyante, and it is essential for them to study or to learn. And now we have also here the weaknesses. So it may limit the teacher's creativity sometimes if they strictly follow the prescribed standards. So sometimes we could able to change, or hindi naman mag-change pero dagdagan lang yung prescribed na curriculum standard. Yun nga yung sabi ko kanina, yung magpaga tayo ng research case study doon sa mga estudyante natin para ma-enrichment sila o may enrichment doon sa learning, or mas makarelate pa sila doon sa concept na ating tinuturo. We have also the risk of teaching to test. If the standards are too rigid, to teacher may focus only on what is tested. So, like for example, students memorize the definition but fail deeply understand evolutionary process. So, as a teacher, it is our duty also to see those standards kung tama pa ba or may mga mali na. So, we could enhance it via pagtitest, or tignan natin kung tama pa ba, kung maganda pa ba yung tinuturo sa ating mga estudyante, maganda ba yun para ituro sa ating mga estudyante. Additionally, if we not carefully implemented, it may encourage teaching only for tests instead of deep understanding of the concept that we have been discussing to our students. And now we have been identified how we're going to make a standard-based curriculum models using these 3 phases, and identify also the strength and weaknesses. We have examined the strength and weaknesses. So let us move to the most important part, which is applications in the Philippine context. And sorry guys, I don't have a PPT for that, but I will going to discuss it in this video. So in this, we already know that the Philippines education system is under the Department of Education, or the DepEd, and which follows a centralized curriculum design. So as we all know, recently the DepEd introduced the Matatag curriculum, or the so-called strengthening curriculum, which focuses on this decongested standards. So before, too many competencies per quarter. So ngayon, they were focused on essential competencies. So this phase is in action 1, in which they were refining in the standards. So seconds, the clear grade level progression. So in benchmark are sequenced in developmentally. So like for examples, scientific skills in early grade focus on observation, higher grade focus on analysis and argumentation. So this is strongly connected in the phase 2, which is the structured benchmark of the teacher into the context na kanyang tinuturo. Second is the structured curriculum guides. DepEd provides the learning competencies, the teacher guides, the assessment samples. So those structured curriculum guides will strongly reflect on the phase 3, in which is the final product. So in concrete Philippine application scenario, so Imagine you are designing a science curriculum for grade 10. So you have these steps in making this curriculum for grade 10. So first, you have identified the essential standard students, evaluate the evidences and supporting evolution. So second is you develop the benchmarks and analyze the fossils records and interpret the DNA similarities. You have evaluate the common misconceptions on your students. So the third is that you develop the learning objectives that your students will write a position in which your students will write a position paper and explaining the scientific evidence for evolution while respecting the diverse beliefs. So in conclusion of our standard-based curriculum development um, models, the standard-based curriculum development models by Alan Gluthorn is a structured, logical approach that begins with clear standard and ensures alignment across all curriculum components. So it is highly applicable in the Philippine context because the education system is centralized the national reforms like in sinabi ko yung matatag curriculum that emphasize the essential standards, in which the teacher participation is included and it promotes accountability and clarity. And also we have the validated assessment that is connected from um, the benchmark. So when properly implemented, it ensures the quality education while still allowing contextualization to the Filipino learners. We will be now move on to another type of the linear curriculum development model, which is the Understanding by Design model or UBD. This was developed by Grant Wiggins and J. McTingy in 2002. This understanding was designed in 2002. It became popular in the Philippines when it was used in designing the basic curriculum before the implementation of the K-12 education curriculum. The UBD is so-called backward designs because instead of starting with the activities, teachers begin by identifying the learning goals and desired outcomes. The main focus is helping students deeply understanding important concept, not just the memorizing the facts. So mas madidipin yung understanding ng students and um, not just the memorizing the facts. So yun nga, this curriculum emphasize the deep exploration of the students, the important ideas. It encourages the students pag-analyze, pag-apply, and connect knowledge to real-life situation. It connects to the real-life situation. So this UBD ensures the alignment between what teachers want students to learn, kung ano yung gusto ng teacher na ma-learn ng students, and paano ito ma-learn ng students and being assessed by the teachers, and the activities are conducted in class, and this was alignment with makes with the learning more focused and meaningful. And now in UBD, it has a three phases or three stages and doing a UBD or Universal by Design model. So this is the overview of the three stages, which is first the identify the desired results. So here, teachers define what students should know. Ano yung dapat malaman ng estudyante, ma-understand nila and able to do ano yung gusto ng teacher na matutunan ng estudyante and be able to do after the context being studied. Second is the determine acceptable evidences. Here, the teachers decide how students will demonstrate understanding through assessment or performance task. Dito, may-measure kung naintindihan ba talaga ng estudyante yung concept na itinuturo ng teacher by the assessment or performance task. So, in stage 3, plan learning experience. Here, the teacher designed lessons. Dito na yung finals. The teacher will design the lessons and activities that help students achieve the desired result na gusto mong matutunan ng estudyante, and yung assessment na gusto mong ipagawa sa yung mga estudyante. So now we will be define or identify and discuss these three types of the backward design. So we have first stage, the identify desired results. In order for students to perform well on the assessment and competently answer the essential questions. So ano itong essential questions? So these essential questions are open-ended questions formulated in the step 1 that guides the learners, mag-guide sa learners towards the deep understanding of the important ideas that they are being discussing or yung concept na kanilang ginadiscuss sa class and transferable concepts. So, this could be what should they know, ano yung dapat na matutunan ng estudyante, and what should they be able to do. So, ano yung natutunan ng estudyante, and ano yung magagawa ng estudyante by studying or by that concepts. So now I will show you the example of essential questions. So like for examples, these are the identify desired results of essential questions. So for non-examples, how many minutes are in an hour or in a day? So ang example ng essential question is, how would life be different if we couldn't measure time? So as we can see here, in the first, the non-example is just recall or just based on facts. So dito sa examples, how would life be different if we could measure time? So dito mas madidipin yung understanding ng students, and mas magiging maglalabas yung critical thinking ng students. Same with the second non-examples, between what year did Italian Renaissance? So, ang concept dito is kung ano yung gusto ng teacher na matutunan ng kanyang estudyante about the Italian Renaissance. So, enable to the students para mas maintindihan ito and deepen their understanding. Mas maganda in a way na, in what ways does the art reflect as well as shape and culture? Same with this non-example. The third example is, what is foreshadowing? Can you find an example? In the essential question, it could be, how do effective writers hook and hold their readers? And now, what do I do, or what we do with essential questions? So first, we should post them in the classrooms. So why we should post in the classroom? You should post it in the classroom so displays them makes the purpose of the lessons visible to students when students see the essential question at the beginning of the lesson. So ma-engage yung mga students, and they understand what they are expected to explore, eventually answer ano yung i-explore nila, and instead of thinking ng mga estudyante that they are just completing the activities, students recognize that each activity contribute to answering a bigger meaningful question. So posting it also allows the teachers to revisit it regularly and remind learners of the lesson, the main goals of the lessons, kung ano ba talaga yung pinag-aaralan nila. So second is that essential questions are primarily used during planning in step 1 of the universal by designs. The teacher formulates the essential questions to clarify the big idea of the unit. So these questions help the teachers decide what contents is important and what can be removed. Kung ano yung mga important na mga bagay and ano yung dapat na i-remove doon. So it prevents content overload and keep the curriculum focused on understanding rather than the coverage of the concept. So when planning lesson, the teacher asks, does this topic help students answer the essential questions? So if their answer is no, then the content may not be essential. The third is essential question guide assessment. So in step 2, teachers design assessment that allows students to demonstrate their understanding of essential question. The final performance time should help students provide a thoughtful response to that guiding questions. If the essential question asks about real-life applications, then the assessment should require analysis of the students, the explanation of the students, or problem solving, not just simple recall of the concept na kanilang pinag-aaralan. So in this way, the assessment becomes aligned with the desired understanding na gustong understand ng teacher doon sa students. The fourth one is essential question are used during instruction as a touchstone. So what is touchstone for discussion? A touchstone means a reference point. Yung reference ng teachers throughout the activity or the lessons, the teachers return to the essential question to connect the activities and discussions. So magsisilbi itong touchstone ng teacher sa pag-discuss doon sa lesson or activities na kanilang ginagawa. Like for example, after a group activity, the teacher may ask, how does this help us answer our essential questions? Doon sa first parang na pinakita ng teacher. This practice keeps learning coherent and prevent lessons from becoming fragment or disconnected. So these essential questions are not actively used. The connection between goals, the instruction, and assessment may be lost. Lessons may become active-driven instead of purpose-driven. Students may focus on memorizing information without understanding its relevance. So, the essential questions ensures coherence, meaningful. All parts of the lesson work together toward a clear and meaningful learning outcomes. So, these essential questions are used as guiding guiding planning, shape assessment, focus instruction, and anchor the discussion. So now we have been identified what is in the stage 1 of the UBD. So now we will be into the next step, which is the step 2, which is determine acceptable evidence. So here it is important to think of the assessment as a continuum rather than its single event of the end of the unit. So in the framework developed by Courant, it is clearly apart from the conventional unit design. In traditional planning, teachers usually prepare lessons and activities first and then create a test at the end. So assessment becomes an afterthought. However, in UBD, assessment is planned before instruction. This is the major shift. From step 2, it requires teachers to determine what accounts as acceptable evidence of understanding. So, after identifying the desired result in the step 1 or in stage 1, the teacher must ask, how will I know if the students truly understands? Ano yung gagawin ko para ma-measure or para malaman kung na-understand ba ito ng estudyante? The answer to these questions becomes the basis of assessment design. This may include performance tasks, projects, written explanation, or other forms of authentic assessment. The goal is to gather clear evidence that the students can explain on concept, hindi lang basic recall, but explain, apply, and transfer their learning into the real life situation or scenario. So, because of the assessment is planned first, the learning activities are not random. Instead, an ordered progression of lessons follows. Carefully designed to prepare students for the assessment task that you are being the teacher have been designed. So, in every activity must directly support the target or understanding of the students towards the concept na yung tinuturo or the teacher that been discussing. In the final assessment, it requires the students to analyze a real life problems. Then classroom activities must develop analytical skills of the students. If the assessments require explanation and justification, the instruction must include the practice in reasoning and communication. So this approach ensure alignment. The target is defined in step 1, the evidence is planned, and the step 2. So na-define yung ano yung target sa step 1, kung ano yung dapat matutunan ng estudyante and will able to do. And the step 2, dito napaplan yung evidence of learning kung may natutunan ba talaga yung bata. And only then the learning experience organized in the steps 3. This is why the UBD is called backward design. It starts when the end in the mind, which is planning. Assessment first guarantees that instruction is purposeful and focused on achieving the desired results. In this assessment are often created without consideration of the evidence needed to demonstrate attainment of the objectives. So instead, it consider how do we know that the learners are met the goals through performance, get the understanding, and deeply consider the essential questions. So in determining acceptable evidence, it is important to think of the assessment as a continuum rather than a single event at the end of the unit. So continuum siya, hindi lang siya single event at the end of the unit. A good way to do this is to anchor your unit with a major performance task that demonstrates whether students have achieved the big idea and can answer the essential questions that have been posted. This performance task becomes the ultimate measurements of understanding of the students towards the concept na tinuturo mo. Like for examples, in a grade 8 mathematics unit on linear function, the performance task could be a project where students create a real-life budget models using linear equations. So na-apply nila yung understanding nila doon sa concept and in which they were going to have a project performance task. So, however, this was not mean that all other form of assessment are discarded. Along the way, teachers should include other type of evidence to monitor learning and provide feedback. This can include informal checking of understanding, classroom observation, dialogue with students, the quizzes, tests, and academic prompts. For instance, asking the students to explain how slope affect profit in quick discussion or giving a short quiz on a slope intercepts help teachers identify who need extra support before the final performance. So, doon ma-identify ng teacher kung na-understand ba ito ng estudyante ang concept na or ang context na kanilang tinuturo for teachers to identify who needs extra support before the final performance or final task of the students. So using this continuum of assessments, this allows teachers to track the growth of the students, the adjust the instruction of the teacher and guide students toward deeper understanding on the concept that they have been discussing or studying. Informal assessments such as classroom dialogue or observation are just as important as formal quizzes because they provide insights into students' thinking and reasoning. So academic prompts like reflective question or journals entries give students the chance to articulate their understanding and connect it to the essential question of the unit. So that means that assessment is not a single event but a continuous process. The performance tasks anchor the unit as the main evidence of understanding, while informal assessments along the way provide support and feedback opportunity for students to develop mastery on the concept that they have been discussing. This ensures that students are not just completing the activities but are truly learn in applying the big ideas through the unit. So now let us what should a performance task ask students to do? So this performance ask the students to do by contextualizing learning to the real life world situation. So ina-apply nila yung natutunan nila or na-understands nila doon sa concept na kanilang pag-aralan doon sa real life situations. It requires students to use judgment and innovations, like for the research innovations, call for exploration of the subject like the professionals. It reflects the challenging situation in which the people are truly tested in life and work. So mas na-relate nila into the real life situation, and the students will ma-check and ma-check yung conceptual understanding nila throughout the activity. It compels students to use a repertoire of knowledge and skills to negotiate a task. It allows opportunity to rehearsal, practice, and consult resources, get feedback, and refine the performance of the students. And lastly, use the 6 facets of understandings. So these 6 facets of understanding, you can search it on the Google or to understand what is these 6 facets of understanding for further information. We have also another tool here to create an authentic or performance assessment. So actually there was discussed one of our classmates in assisting assessments too, so pasadahan lang natin to sa discussion. So when we say in grasps, it is the tools to create an authentic performance assessment. From G, it stands for goals. So what task do I want the students to achieve? Ano yung task na gusto mong achieve ng students ma-performs nila? Role, what's the students' role in the task? Ano yung roles nila? Maging researcher sila, magiging community leader ba sila? Basta ano yung role na based doon sa performance task na ipagagawa mo sa students. The audience, who is the students' target audience? The community ba? Yung may mga sakit na mga tao, yung mga illness, yung mga teachers ba, yun, depende sa audience. So the situations, what's the context, the challenges, ano yung masosolve na problema, ano yung challenge, ano yung context na pinag-aaralan or yung gagawa nila ng solusyon. In the performance, what will students create and develop? Ano yung makikreate nila? Ano yung product nila to solve the, meron ba silang masosolve na problem sa community? Meron ba itong ma-help sa ating society? So lastly, the standard, on what criteria will they be judged? So ano yung siyempre sa pag bibigay ng performance sa ating estudyante, dapat meron silang criteria in order for them kung tama pa ba yung ginagawa nila, sapat kung na-met ba nila yung dapat na goal ng isang ng teacher na dapat ma-learn ng estudyante and ma-develop ng estudyante throughout the performance activity. So remember that make the task real world problems to solve. And we also need to remember that every assessment you should design have clear articulated criteria para hindi mahirapan yung students, and yun yung gagamitin nilang tools para mag-guide sa kanila throughout the activity. Be valid and reliable. Yun nga, valid, kung ano yung i-measure, dapat yun yung maging resulta, kung ano yung dapat i-measures from your objective or your learning outcomes. And reliable, yung scores ng mga estudyante hindi masyadong malayo, and provide sufficient measurement of the desired results, and encourage students to assess their own learning or the self-reflection of the students. As we go through the move into through the stage 3, we should keep in our mind that it is not what the teacher need to accomplish, but rather what the learner needs to do. Ano yung malalearn nila? Then achieve the desired result from stage 1, kung ano yung desired na yung essential question, kung ano yung gusto nating malaman nila, and perform well on the task in stage 2, kung ano yung ma-check dito kung yung understanding ba nila is kung mayroon ba talaga silang na-understand doon sa concept na ating tinuturo. So we are going to onto the stage 3. So in stage 3 of understanding by design UBD, the focus is on planning learning experience after identifying desired result and assessment evidences based on the performance task. So we will use the where to framework provides guidance. So what is this? What is this where to framework? It provides guidance on how to design lessons that are meaningful, aligned to the learning objectives or learning outcomes, and effective. Each letter and where to go represent a key principle for designing instruction. So first we have the W, where and why. Teacher ensure that students know where the unit is headed and why it matters. So this helps learners understand the purpose of the lesson, kung ano yung purpose ng lesson, and connect it to the activity to the overall learning goals. For example, in math unit on linear function, the teacher can explain that by the end of the unit, students will be able to model real-life situation and solve practical problems. Knowing the why motivates students to engage more deeply with the content na tinuturo ng teacher. We have the next H, hook and hold. Teachers should hook students at the beginning of the lesson to spark curiosity and hold their attention throughout the unit by posting those essential questions. So this can be done using through provoking questions, interesting real-life scenarios na ipopost ng teacher before mag-explain yung teacher ng discussion, or engaging demonstration. For instance, a scenario showing how a small business tracks profit using linear equation can immediately capture students' interest, maintain focus during the activities, kung paano ba yun paano ba natatrack ng small business ang profit using the linear equation. Next is the letter E, which equip. The teachers need to equip students with the necessary tools, experience, and knowledge to succeed in performance tasks. This includes teaching skills to the students, providing resources, offering guide practices. Like for example, students may first practice graphic equation from basic skills and interpreting slope before attempting a full budget modeling task. So from basic concept into high. It is equipping the students in ensuring they have the knowledge and skill needed to meet the desired outcomes or the objectives of the lessons. So next is the R, which is rethink, reflect, and revise. Students should have multiple opportunity to rethink their big ideas, reflect on their learning, and revise their work. This encourages deeper understanding and continuous improvement of the work of the students. In practice, this could involve peer review session, promote socialization in the students, and reflect on problem-solving approaches, or revising project after feedback of the teacher. Helping students internalize concepts rather than just completing tasks superficially. So next is the E, which is evaluate. Teachers should build an opportunity for students to evaluate their own progress, self-assessment, and perform self-assessment. This promotes metacognition and ownership of learning. For example, after completing a project, students can rate their performance against a rubric and reflect on what strategies work, what they need to improve, fostering self-directed learning ng estudyante. Especially yung mga college students na mga estudyante natin na kaya ng mag-self-assessment or self-learning. So next is the tailored, or T or tailored. Learning experiences should be tailored to individual talents, interests, learning styles, and needs. The differentiations ensure that all students can access the curriculum and engage meaningfully. For instance, some students may create a visual graph of linear relationship, while others write in written reports or present orally. Tailoring encourages students' engagement and respect diverse abilities. And lastly, the organize. Finally, lessons should be organized to optimize deep understanding of the students rather than covering content superficially. Each activity should build logically toward the performance, reinforcing connection between ideas. This prevents random coverage of topics and ensures students develop mastery. So this framework, ensuring that learning experiences are purposeful, engaging, scaffolded, reflected, and personalized and well-organized using the where to, helps teachers also create lessons that lead students to deep understandings, transferable understanding, alignment perfect with the goals and assessment defined in the early stage of the UBD. After all, we should note that on a word to, this is not a recipe, formula, or precise sequence. Where two elements are combined and ordered is entirely up to the designer. A teacher might choose to begin a lesson with a hook to capture interest, then explain the where and why of the unit, or they might introduce a mini performance task first and then provide equipment and scaffolding on the students. The flexibility allows teachers to adapt where to the needs, the interests, and learning styles of their students while still maintaining alignment with a desired result and assessment defined in the earlier stage of the UBD. So it is upon, or it is depende, it's up of the designer or the teachers on ano yung iuna nila, basta ma-meet yung learning goals doon sa stage 1 and ma-measure doon sa performance task, ma-measure kung ano yung dapat na i-measure ng teacher. It is very reliable and valid for the assessment. So now we understand that UBD is a time-consuming and challenging approach to design. So lessons design should be, if we want our students to wrestle with timeless, universal question, gain a deeper understanding of the world, and then transfer the rich experience to engage in authentic problem-solving activities, should be thoughtful about the designer process. The answer could be yes. If you would like to learn more, please consult Understanding by Design by Grant Wiggins and J. Mark, thank you. So this all slides guys, nag-prepare ko this sa second curriculum, which is the UBD. All slides in this PowerPoint have been adapted from their work. And yeah, if you want to read more about the universal designs, universal by designs, or um, yan, UBD, you could access this. I will send the link on the GC. But guys, before we're gonna end this discussion, same with the first type of Linux curriculum model, this was also core strength and weaknesses of UBD model. So first, strength is focused on deep understanding of the students. One of the main strengths of UBD is that prioritize that students truly understand rather than what they can memorize. So may deep understanding talaga yung estudyante by starting with the step 1, identify the desired goals and framing learning around big ideas and essential question. The students are encouraged to think critically, make connections, and apply their knowledge. Next is the alignment of goals, in which the students ensure that learning goals, assessment, and instruction activities are tightly connected. In step 2, it requires planning of the assessment before the lesson, which guides step 3 in designing purposeful activities. So this avoid teaching content that is irrelevant to the objectives. So lastly, it supports reflection and metacognition. So throughout the where to in stage 3, the students are given opportunity to rethink, reflect, and revise their work through self-assessment or criteria that is the teacher being provided. This helps learners to develop self-assessment skills, recognize gaps in understanding, and improve performance over time. So we have also here the weaknesses. So as we observe, it is first time consuming in planning. It is requires carefully identification of the goals, kung ano ba dapat yung goals ng teachers, design of assessment, ano yung assessment na gagamitin para measure yung goals, kung na learn ba ng student, and alignment of the activities. It can be very high time intensive for teachers, especially those new to the framework. It is preparing for the authentic performance task in scaffolding learning requires significant effort from teacher to the students. It also requires teacher expertise. So UBD depends on teachers' deep understanding of the content, assessment design, instructional strategies. Teachers need to create meaningful essential questions for students to think on the context that you have been discussing, design appropriate performance tasks that measures the essential questions or the context that you have been discussing in tailoring activities to diverse learners. Without sufficient training, implementation may be weak. So lastly is the resource and support demands. An effective UBD often requires materials, the technology and administrative supports. In schools with limited resources or large class size, it may be difficult for the teachers to provide authentic learning experiences for all the students. So let us now application of the understanding of UBD in the Philippine context. So we have the stage 1, identify the desired results. So that the teacher here is define clear learning goals with big ideas and essential questions that aligned with the K to 12 or the Matatag curriculum. This ensures that students focus on what is more important instead of memorizing the excessive content. For examples, in grade 8 science, rather than teaching all types of energy superficially, the teacher can focus on understanding how energy affects daily life. The essential question could be, how do energy transformation impact our home and community? This guides all learners' activity and assessment, making the lessons purposeful, meaning for Filipino students. This stage 2 is determine acceptable evidence. In step 2, the UBD emphasizes planning assessment before instruction in the Philippine context. This allows teachers to ensure that students are learning in a way that are measurable and relevant. An authentic assessment such as project, presentation, and performance tasks shows whether students can apply those knowledge in real life situation. Like for example, students may design a renewable energy project to demonstrate their understanding of the concept of energy transformation. Along the way, the formative assessments such as quizzes, observation, and guided discussion help teachers track progress and provide feedback, ensuring that students are developing the skills and understand needed to succeed. So lastly, the stage 3, plan learning experiences or where to. Stage 3 focus on designing meaningful, engaging lessons that guide students toward the performance tasks, and Philippines teacher can apply the where to framework to make lesson culturally relevant in student center. For example, in this science unit and energy. So lastly is the alignment with the Philippine curriculum goals. So let us discuss in a general. So UBD supports the goal of the Keto 12 and Matatag curriculum by focusing the essential competencies and reducing content overload. These lessons are designed to connect the learning to real life situations, Filipino cultures and community issues in our society. The models also promotes inclusivity, allowing teachers to differentiate instruction for students with diverse abilities, see especially those students with disabilities, and develop 21st century skills such as critical thinking of the students, connecting into the real life situations, problem solving, collaboration, socialization with those students, and self-assessment. This ensures that the learning is not only about content knowledge but also about application, replication, and deeper understanding of the students. So any question, guys, you can raise your questions on the GC so that I could address those questions, and this end our discussion. Sukran for listening, everyone. Mabuhay.